So I was a teacher for a little bit, and but first I was a cheerleader in high school. I went to these cheer camps and thought it was a lot of fun, and went to college. Wasn't as great of a student as I could have been in college. Graduated, went ahead and got the first job that I thought I'd be good at, right? An English teacher. I was really good at English, and I didn't realize that I'd have to talk about it so much. So that was kind of tough, and I had been teaching these cheer camps during the summer when I was a college student, college cheerleader, and I would start to talk about cheerleading. And these little girls would be out there, and they would just listen to every word I was saying. It was so cute. They were so excited. They had such wide eyes, and they wanted to know everything I was talking about. And then my first day as a teacher, I walked into the classroom with this big smile on my face, excited to teach these 11th and 12th grade students at the same high school that I went to. At a very kind of, I would say, mid-tier private school, kind of she, nothing like here in Memphis, you know. But no, I walked into my old high school. I'm teaching at this, teaching English to 11th, 12th graders, and they didn't have quite the same look on their face as those cheerleaders. And so I thought, well, that's kind of a bummer. And I continued on for that year, and 6 months in, someone told me, you know, and things started to get kind of out of control. 6 months in, someone said, well, you never should have smiled on the first day. That was your first mistake. And so things kind of evolved, and we get closer to March, and I like the school. It's a great place. We get to senior papers, and I am team teaching with another English teacher who I love. We get along great. We assign the same paper, and it's about Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And so we assign the same paper, and the papers come in. I start to read the papers, and after getting over the fact that, as people described, outcasts, in terms of Frankenstein, and we're spelling it with K, because that was when that band came out. I was trying to deal with the fact that pop culture is killing spelling. That was way before social media and all we have to deal with now. And so I started to realize that there were phrases that I didn't ever say in class. And so I thought, well, that's kind of strange. And it sounded oddly like the teacher that I team taught with. So, well, you know, so I went into his classroom and said, well, you know, take a look at this paper. And he said, well, that's funny. That sounds a lot like me. I said, that's funny too. So I said, well, do you think you have a paper in your class that looks just like this one? He's like, let me look. So he starts looking at his papers, and I bring all of my papers in. And 2-3 hours later, we have all of the papers in all of our classes matched up, and 15 match. So 30 students. 30 students had totally just duplicated the paper from the other class. And they were all sorts of kids. They were the class president to, you know, just everything you could think of. They were all in that group. And I realized that I hated feeling like everyone in the room was trying to fool me. And so, you know, we ended up turning all these kids in, and I think that they all thought that I was going to be the teacher that they could pull one over on. And when we turned them into the principal, around the same time I said, you know, this isn't really the job for me. I don't know what I want to do, but I want to do something else. And so a lot of the kids didn't get to graduate. They all had to go to summer school. The class president, kids were taken off prom court. It was kind of a big disaster. So at the end of the year, my last day, I thought, you know, it's been an interesting experience, but I'm going to move on to something else. So I went back to teaching cheer camps. Sounds crazy. And so I went back to teaching cheer camps that summer, and ironically, that company that has the cheer camps is based here in Memphis. And so I spent the whole summer traveling around the country, teaching cheer camps, and just having a great time. It bought me some time to figure out what I was going to do when September came around. And so when September came around, I realized there was a position open here in Memphis. And so I called them up and said, hey, is there anything that I can do with varsity? And they said, yeah, you know, I think we've got something for you. So sight unseen, I decided to come to Memphis, got on a plane, decided to move, and it has been the best decision of my life. That was 13 years ago. And the lesson that I learned is that sometimes to find what you really want to do, you have to do something that you realized you really didn't want to do. And that's how I ended up here in Memphis, and the lesson that I learned.